Official history books hide facts that cannot be explained. Deep in our archives, we keep protocols about events where the reality of the Middle Ages literally started to glitch. These files were classified for centuries to prevent mass panic and loss of control over the people. When people see things they cannot explain, their world starts to fall apart. We are opening folders about 3 strange events that people thought were curses, but our reports call them system errors. These documents have evidence of outside influence, though official science is afraid to admit it. Every one of these events was erased from memory, so you would keep believing the world is stable. Get ready to see the dark side of time, where one wrong step turned whole cities into a place for the impossible. Watch this video until the end, because at the finish, we will reveal the scariest file about the disappearance of children. Welcome to Anomalous LAB, where the truth is finally revealed. Protocol number 1, the dancing plague. Age, adults of various ages. Diagnosis, cyclic behavior error. System command, loop. In July 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, the first recorded glitch in behavior happened. It started when a woman named Frau Trophea went into the street and began to dance without any music. Her movements were not like a dance of joy. They looked like a person caught in an endless loop of code. She kept moving day and night, ignoring tiredness and hunger. After 1 week, 34 people joined her, and their bodies suddenly began to follow the same command. People watched in horror as the crowd of dancers grew every hour. Their faces showed terrible pain, but their legs kept moving on the pavement. Doctors tried to find a reason, but our archives call it a critical synchronization error. By the end of the month, over 400 people were dancing, and nobody could stop them. People fell from heart attacks and total exhaustion, but even on the ground, their arms and legs kept moving. The city leaders did not know what to do and built special stages and hired musicians. They thought people could dance out the sickness, but this made everything worse. Witnesses said the eyes of the dancers were blank, as if their minds were disconnected from their bodies. In secret files, this incident is marked as a mass psychosis with a nonverbal control signal. Interviews with survivors show they did not remember their actions and felt like puppets. No prayers or religious rituals could stop this madness for several months. It looked like the system started a bad script that forced the people to use all their energy. Official reports hid the real number of deaths to avoid scaring other cities. Even today, science tries to blame it on food poisoning, but this does not explain the timing and rhythm. We believe it was the first mass experiment of outside control over human algorithms. When the last dancer died, the anomaly disappeared as fast as it started. Strasbourg stayed in history as a place where reality became a deadly loop. Records were taken away from the public and put in our secret archive under Code 71. Every page of this file is filled with fear of the power that can make us dance until we die. Survivors were afraid of any rhythmic sound for the rest of their lives. The true reason for this glitch stays secret in our laboratory. Each victim was a living piece of evidence of a world that had broken its own rules. We found that the plague only stopped when the system reset itself for the next season. Today we look at those events as a warning that our bodies are not always under our own control. That mass madness is shocking, but soon you will hear another story about a man whose reality broke into pieces. Why a king could turn into fragile glass in one moment, we will tell you now. Protocol number 2, the Glass King. Age, adults and various noble subjects. Diagnosis, material property assignment error. In the late 14th century in France, a glitch happened at the highest level of the government. King Charles VI woke up one morning and believed his body was no longer human. He screamed in horror when a servant tried to help him, begging not to be touched. The king was sure he was now made entirely of thin, transparent, and fragile glass. Everyone thought it was a fever, but the anomaly grew stronger every day. Charles told his advisors to stay 3 steps away from him, fearing he would break into pieces. In our files, this is a fatal error in the physical properties of an object in the system. The king ordered iron bars to be sewn into his clothes to protect his glass body. He sat still for hours, afraid to even breathe deeply, because it might break his chest. The most amazing thing is that this glass delusion appeared in other parts of Europe soon after. We found secret reports from Germany, where lords began to act exactly like the French king. It looked like a viral software update that replaced human flesh with glass settings. Leaders did their best to hide these facts to keep their power stable. Official records call it melancholy, but our archives have descriptions of how people lived in fear of breaking. Why was this hidden? A leader who is afraid to be touched is a weak leader. The church called it the devil's work. But we see a system conflict between the mind and the body. King Charles refused to wash for months because he thought water would dissolve him. He saw the world through his fragility, and every shadow looked like a hammer. These cases were recorded for 300 years, creating a wave of glass people across Europe. We think the system was testing new physical limits for human units. In secret protocols, one lord jumped from a tower to prove his theory, and his body really shattered into fragments. These records were taken by the Inquisition, but a copy survived in our lab. Today we wonder if it was a mass hallucination, or a real change in matter. Science calls it a mental disorder, but we know it is something deeper. It was a moment when the line between human imagination and reality disappeared. Even after the king died, the glass virus found new victims. We keep this protocol as a reminder that our body is just a set of data. Every page shows how easily a powerful person can be destroyed by changing one line of code. We often think that our thoughts are our own, but the Glass King shows that someone can change our physical logic. The fear of being shattered was more real to him than the crown he wore on his head. We found notes about a doctor who tried to convince a patient he was flesh, but the patient simply pointed at his transparent skin. This was not a dream. It was a reality that had shifted into a different state of existence. History hides these people because they prove that our world can become fragile at any second. If the king can become glass, then anything we see can be a lie. The king's story is crazy, but it is nothing compared to our darkest file. Now you will learn about the scariest case of missing children that still has no logical explanation. Protocol number 3, the Pied Piper. Age, 130 children. Diagnosis, mass object deletion. System command, delete. On June 26, 1284, in the town of Hamelin, the biggest glitch in history happened. 130 children disappeared from the town, and this is officially recorded in history books. The legend says a man in colorful clothes led them away with a flute because the town did not pay him. But our secret archives show a different picture. This was a system command for mass deletion of objects. Witnesses said the children followed the flute player with empty eyes, like they were following a program. The sound was not music, it was a high-frequency signal that controlled their minds. No adult could stop them because they felt a strange paralysis and fear. The children walked to the hill called Koppen, and they simply disappeared into thin air. It did not look like entering a cave, it looked like models disappearing from the system. The town searched for years, but not one body or piece of clothing was ever found. In the anomaly files, this is the highest level of secrecy under mass deletion. We studied letters from those years saying the flute player had no shadow even in the bright sun. His clothes changed colors all the time, which happens with unstable visual textures. The disappearance happened so fast that only an unnatural silence was left in the town. This protocol proves that the system has ways to remove any group of people at any time. We found records that 2 children came back, but one was blind and the other could not speak. They could never tell what is behind our visible world, or where the stranger was leading them. This event was so shocking that church books were destroyed to hide it. In our lab, we have copies of those pages describing glowing spheres in the sky that day. Maybe the Pied Piper was not a person, but a system operator moving assets. This story is a cold reminder that we are just guests in a world ruled by invisible forces. Why was it hidden? Because knowing about this power makes human laws feel useless. We found reports of similar disappearances in other places, but Hamelin is the most documented case. The memory of those children lives in old books as a warning for future generations. We opened this file so you would understand that behind every old story is a scary system glitch. Nobody knows where those 130 children are now, or if they are still traveling in another dimension. This case stays open in Anomalous LAB because it is the key to how our world works. Every time we read this protocol, we find new scary details that do not fit history. We are sure the Hamelin incident was just the start of many glitches the system hides. Be careful with what you think is true, because archives never lie. If the world decides to delete a file, it does not leave a trace. We believe these children were moved to another server for an unknown purpose. Their parents waited for a lifetime, but the system had already closed their folder. This is the dark truth of the Middle Ages that was too terrifying to be kept in public. This is not the end of our journey. It is just the top of the iceberg in our secret storage. On our channel, we frequently open classified files that have been gathering dust on the back shelves of archives for years. We search for the truth about how history was actually built and how our world works, casting aside beautiful legends. Be part of our team of researchers who want to know the truth about history and the world. If you are not afraid of the truth and want to see how it really happened, subscribe to our channel. There are many more episodes and shocking discoveries ahead.